let's get into this. I know it's a bit contentious, but I want to get into this a bit with you. So if this settlement is approved, you already laughed. The new rules are expected to take effect in July or like later this summer. What do you expect this to mean for that generally 5 to 6% commission that sellers normally have to pay?
So, from the agent perspective, it feels like we're being gaslit a little bit because we heard in the case that we're not negotiating our commissions, which is inaccurate because we have always negotiated our commissions. So that's where that contention lies. Now, there's also contention on the buyer side because if you look at that group, they've been hit with 1, 2, 3 combo punches over the last few years.
Okay.
They've had high prices, high rates, low inventory, and now they're facing the potential onus of also carrying a commission.
Okay.
And you have to
Erin, can I
remember
just
this.
jump in 1 second?
Sure.
I know you said the commissions are always negotiated, but I think a lot of our audience has either bought a house or sold a house. I've sold a house myself. I couldn't find a realtor to take my listing unless the commission was at least 5%. So while on paper, I know you can negotiate. In practice, it doesn't really seem to work that way.
You know, it's really about getting the deal over the finish line. So the commissions are and have always been negotiable, and it's really on the individual member of NAR, the individual agent, to take on that negotiation and offer concessions, whether it be monetary or otherwise.
Right.
So I think that, new home buyers in particular might not have been educated on that, and we need to do a better job as agents on educating.
Okay.
However, we also need to show our value, right? So this is a business, and
Fair
as
enough.
agents, we're providing a
It
service.
is a business. So I want to get to the business side for consumers. There's a lot of questions. You were hitting on it just a second ago, how this could impact first-time home buyers, especially people on the lower end of the buying spectrum. So I want to get your opinion. How does this potentially impact those first-time home buyers? I know I cut you off just a bit, but also large brokerages. I'm looking this morning in the pre-market. I'm seeing Compass is down. I'm seeing Redfin down fractionally right now. But how does it impact these businesses?
So two things. This settlement has to do with brokerages that are under the $2 billion mark. So it does not affect the large brokerages. This is for the smaller guys and also for NAR, of course, the National Association of Realtors, which is our trade organization. It is not a legislative arm. That said, to answer the other part of your question about buyers, this would potentially put the onus of carrying a 2 to 3% commission on the part of buyers. Now, that's challenging because of the other things that I mentioned earlier, all of these headwinds that they have already faced.
Right.
Also, you cannot take a loan out to pay for that commission. So it has to be out of cash.
So it has to be out
That's
of pocket
why
for
I
a first-time
don't
buyer, and that could be onerous. I totally understand.
correct.
I
And
do
that's why
also
I
want to
don't
ask
think
you
these are
about sellers, and I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to get to a few things with you right now. What do you see as the potential impact of sellers? So one thing in this lawsuit was so-called steering, is that sometimes an agent will tell you that unless you offer that commission to the buyer's agent, then they're going to steer their customers over to other listings. So what happens to sellers, assuming this settlement goes through?
So I don't think that much is changing. That's my big takeaway here. I think that the sellers will continue to pay commission because the cooperative commission is still completely legitimate. That means that the seller can pay a brokerage, their listing brokerage, and then that broker can decide to split off some type of negotiated portion to the buyer's brokerage. And the
Okay.
reason this works is because then both sides have an advocate. If you go directly to the seller, you need to be your own advocate because their listing agent is not going to negotiate on your behalf
Okay.
as a buyer.